You're listening to Aniswa Works. Bluebird. I've had many crushes in my day, and none have caused me trouble like this one did. His name was Hakeem, and boy was he cute. He lived several houses away from me, but I savored and lived for the weekends because aside the fact that there was no school, the children in our neighborhood usually got together to play games like football and ampe. We were about 9 years old and had massive amounts of energy to spare. When we played hard. On these days, Hakeem, along with several other boys, would flock down to the huge sandy park we played on and around. The boys obviously had dips on the actual field for their games of football, and we girls would play ampe and other games, all the while chatting about whom we thought was cute that week. I had my eyes on Hakeem. Nothing ever happened with anyone though. I mean, we were 9, but my developing mind was hooked on this guy, and all I wanted was a smile from him. He had never looked my way, and so my desire for a smile was quite an ambition. Well, on the day of this incident, all of us kids had gotten together for another round of games. We girls were recalling all the vendetta from the previous weekend. All of those who had shot and been shot were gearing up to dish out and get served as we picked sides for ampe. Out on the field, the boys were also picking teams. Now I knew Hakeem. I could pinpoint him from among the crowd, from however far away, no binoculars needed. I could immediately tell from my little recon that he was not at the games. One can only imagine my joy as I finally saw him running towards the park. My face lit up. He came charging down, yelling for the boys not to start without him. In haste, he kicked off his slippers, squeezed in between the wooden fence that protected the park, and joined his friends. When I took my eyes off him, they traveled right back to his slippers. They were a pair of Bluebird flip-flops, and they lay strewn about in the dirt. As my friends yelled for me to come back to my position as the 4th child, I walked over and carefully picked them up, shook off the sand, and laid them down properly. I had a quick daydream about him returning to find them laid out so pretty. He wonders who did it, and it's me. Finally, I would get my smile, my recognition. I scurried off to join the girls for a game. Not too long afterwards, we dispersed and went home after another rigorous session of play. The next day was a Monday, and I was home alone in the afternoon after school when I heard a knock on the door. I wondered who it might be, as all the adults were out at work, and at my age, I never had any visitors over. To my surprise and delight, it was Hakeem. When he began to speak, the delight quickly dissipated. He was furious. "Where are my flip-flops?" he asked angrily. "I don't know," I said. Hakeem quickly let me know that several people had told him they had seen me with it. I explained to him that I had placed them in an orderly manner right where he had tossed them. He was not buying my story. He insisted that I had brought his flip-flops home with me. It amazed me he would think that. His feet were almost twice the size of mine, and there had been plenty other kids at the park that day. Anyone could have taken them. I tried one more time to explain to him that I had no desire for his slippers, and he had no interest whatsoever in reasoning with me. That right there was my first real-life lesson. Not all that glitters is gold. Sometimes it's not even glitter. I remember how disappointed I was in him, at how mad he was for no reason. In 2 seconds, the disappointment turned to anger, and I let him know I would bring him a pair of new ones. I asked him what size he wore. The second the answer left his mouth, I shut the door in his face. That day, with a heavy heart, I grabbed all my savings I had been keeping to buy a purple-haired doll I had fallen in love with. The anger gave me extra speed, and before he could say Bluebird, I had been to Sofoline and back with the slippers in hand. I could tell the unmistakable look of guilt and shame in his eyes when I turned up in his yard. I believe he got so aggressive because he thought there was nothing I could do to rectify the situation. I shoved the slippers in his chest and told him one last time that I did not take his slippers home with me. I turned around and stomped off, cross as an X. As I fumed all the way home, I knew that I walked off with some valuable lessons. A person's looks are not their character, and good deeds can very well become terrible mistakes.